And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Alubari, A Nice Cup of Tea by Tony Boydell. The box cover here, not so easy to read, and I'm not sure I would buy a game based on this box cover, but Tony Boydell makes good games. And I heard that this one is based on Snowdonia, which makes this the second game that I played based on Snowdonia, and I still haven't played Snowdonia yet. I'll get to that, but whatever. Perhaps you haven't played Snowdonia either. Well, great news for you. I'm going to show you how this game works, and you'll see if tea and trains work well together. Players are going to play this game until train stations are built all the way to the end to Darjeeling, and when that happens, whoever has the most points is the winner. There are various ways to get points over the game, but let's talk about how the game plays. You are going to have two workers that you're going to be placing on your turn. You get a third worker that you can sometimes get that you're usually sitting around drinking tea at the tea house, but you're going to have two workers. You're going to be placing these up here. There's some cards that are listed here, and these are just put on the board based on the number of players in the game. So I have it set up for a 4-player game, and you can place it on any card you want on any available number that's on that card. So I could put it here on all the different spots. Now I probably want to put it here on the 1 spot because once all the workers are placed, we're going to resolve the cards A through G in order and go 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you place it on the 4 spot here, you'll get the train piece, which means you're going to go first in the next round. So maybe I'll go there, even though it means I will pick last. At the beginning of the round, you're going to pull a certain number of cubes from the bag and place them up here in their proper spaces. You got stone and iron and then these green chai cubes. And occasionally, from the bag, you're going to pull white cubes. So the bag here is full of all different cubes. White cubes are event cubes, and you'll be placing event cubes here clockwise around this. Occasionally it will cause some to be thrown back in the bag, and these will cause various events to happen on the board itself. Often neutral player will be clearing rubble, building train stations, and this is kind of a way that the game will keep moving if for some reason players decide to stop doing things. So on the A card, if you place your workers here, you're going to get to draw 3 cubes from this area here. You can take any of the cubes you want. The only exception is if you take the green cubes, you only get 1 of them. You can't take more than 1. And when you take a green cube, it's removed from the game, and instead of keeping the cube, you just move up on the chai track over here 1 space for each green cube that you get as the game progresses. If you go to this spot, the B card, you're going to clear rubble. At the beginning of the game, you're going to be putting random cards on the board here, and these cards have a certain number of rubble on the spaces. So you can see, for example, the first card's printed on the board. After that, this one has 5 rubble placed in it. When you clear rubble, you're going to clear rubble equal to wherever the rubble track is. So right now it's on 3, so I'm able to clear 3 rubble. As the game goes by, this is going to go up or down. So when I'm clearing rubble, let's say I clear 3 rubble, I'll take 1, 2, 3. I get to keep this rubble in front of me, and if I'm the last one to clear a rubble off a spot, then I'm going to put one of my things at that spot. That's now a plantation that I own, and you can see it's worth victory points at the end of the game. So when you're clearing rubble, first of all, don't clear all of it but 1, leaving it for the next person. But you can see these bigger ones here. When you clear them, they're going to score you more points. Card C here is going to allow you to change cubes for various things. I can turn 3 of the iron into a steel bar that will be used to build train tracks. I can turn in 2 rubble for a stone cube, or a stone cube into 2 rubble. And then D allows me to build train tracks. The number of train tracks that I can build is tied again down to this track here. So right now I can build 1 track. When building a track, it's going to cost me a steel bar, and then I'm just going to build a track on the board in the first available spot. And so the first available spot's going to be here. Again, I put my disc there. At the end of the game, it's going to be worth that many points. And also when I build one here, I also will move up on the chai track. And then the next train station, regardless of who builds it, will go here and around the board. And these are going to be worth points at the end of the game. Card E is going to allows me to build a station or to upgrade one of my trains. Now, upgrading one of your trains is done over here. We have some trains next to the board, and you'll be paying usually steel bars for these trains. These do a couple things for you. They're going to be worth points at the end of the game. They allow you to pay on the chai track to get an extra worker, so you have 3 workers in a turn if you want to, and they give you a special ability. Well, not always. Like, for example, this one here doesn't give you a special ability, but hey, it's 16 points. And so you have to decide which one of these you want to buy. When you build a station, there are various spots and stations on the board. At the beginning of the game, you can only build here. You'll pay these leave resources. You pay a certain amount and put your token there, and it will get you that many points at the end of the game. But once a track is placed here on this river, this blue spot, then you can build in any of the stations all the way up to the next spot. So like once the train station here, I could build, for example, here, paying 6 rubble to get 4 points. Or I could go here, pay a steel bar to take a card. Go here, pay 3 stone to put a disc there to get me 6 points. And as more and more trains are built on rivers, you'll open up more and more stations on the board. I'm going to skip real quick to card G, which allows you to take these leave tokens, which is a resource, and you'll take those equal to, again, a track down here, or you can convert as many of those as you want to onto this chai track here at the top of the board. F allows you to take one of these cards here next to the board. Now, these cards are fantastic. One, they're going to give you a special ability that you'll be able to do during that phase. So this would happen during the A phase. This would happen during the D phase. You can only use these once. Like, for example, here, this lets me lay a track down. That's 1. And when I lay track, I get to do it plus 1 more during the D phase. But also, at the end of the game, I'll be able to score bonus points. If I have 4 stations and 4 leaves, I can turn it in for 19 points. If I have both these cards at the end of the game and I have only 4 stations, I'd only be able to do this one. If I had 6 stations, I could do both. Or maybe if I had 4 stations, I could do this one, 2 stations, and having built 2 tracks for 17. You get a lot of points from these cards, and they give you a special ability. So taking one of these cards is a pretty cool thing. You might be wondering what this track here is, this chai track here. Well, when you take an action, you can spend 1 on this track to get a bonus to that action. Each of these bonuses is pretty good. Like, for example, here, I can take 2 more cubes. You can see it at the bottom there. Over here, on the second one, I can dig 3 more rubble. Over here, instead of having only 3 trades, I can do unlimited trades, and it only costs me 2 iron for a steel bar. When I go here, I'm going to be able to build 2 extra trains. When I go to this spot, I will be able to take the action 1 more time. When I go to this spot, I'll be able to clear all the cards before I draw 1. Now, at the end of the game, you'll get points for how far you are in a chai track, but at the same time, it might be a better bet to use them over the course of the game. At the end of each round, if there's a card here, it's discarded, then these cards will be moved over, and the card that's showing at the top of the pile will show which weather comes out, and that weather will come here. They kind of push down, and the weather token that's here will change these tracks here. So rain, for example, makes it harder to dig, makes it harder to build railroads, but does make more leaves come. And so the harvest is better. If it's sunny, this moves up 2, this moves up 1. Occasionally these will reach the end, which bounces them back 1, but that will cause a harvest, and players will get leaves equal to how many plantations they have here at the bottom. Like I said, this is going to keep going here, the whole game, until players have built the track all the way to Darjeeling. Players will get a final round, and then you get to add up points. There are many, many ways to get points from stations you built, from tracks you built. Your leaves will give you half point for each one that you have. The trains over here, there's so many different ways to get points. You add up your points, and whoever has the most is the winner. I find that when teaching the game, this long twirling track, which looks like a roller coaster, like, why is this looping here? But anyhow, it is a little confusing to teach people, and it takes me a while to say, when you put this out, that is a train. But if you put it here, that's a station. If you put it down here, that's a plantation. But it works well. These symbols here take some maybe getting used to, but there is a card that will explain what the different events do. as you get them out here. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll clear rubble off spots. You can only build these, and this is just, I was just showing an example. You can only clear the rubble in order, and you can only build the train in order, but the computer will build those for you if you're not doing it fast enough, and will keep the game flowing at a clip. The art for the game works well. There's all kinds of little cool components, although it is mostly discs and things. But it works well, and the card quality, I think, is well done. Alubari is a very engaging worker placement style game. There are so many choices that you're making over the course of this game. You have to decide if you're going to grab those cubes. You need those cubes to turn them in to build stations and to build trains. You need to take these spots, and there's never enough spots. In fact, if the weather is cloudy, 2 of the spots up there get covered up by clouds. You can't even use those. And you have to watch the weather. The weather is constantly shifting and changing, which will make digging for rubble or building trains more difficult or easier to do. Or the plantations. Having a lot of plantations at the bottom can suddenly rain you with a pile of leaves, which you can then change into chai, which you can then use to get great actions. Getting one of those bonus trains is a really neat thing because it gives you bonus points, and it gives you the possible third worker as long as you are willing to pay for it. But one of the events that comes out, those cubes, means you have to pay for each train that you have, those special trains. And so if you're not able to do that, you'll lose them. So you always have to make sure you keep that payment in reserve just in case that event happens. But what makes this game really unique is that deck of cards. Getting a special action and bonus points at the end of the game. You don't do that, you're going to lose. Those are powerful. They can be a lot of points. And if you're not sure what to do, you take one of those and you look at the bottom and say, okay, this gives me 3 points if I build 3 trains and 2 stations. Well, guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to build 3 trains and 2 stations. So it kind of focuses me in on that. There's diversity in the plantations at the bottom. There's diversity in the order the cards come out. There's diversity in how the weather happens. I will say a slight negative against Alubari is that I feel like the game isn't going to diverge too much outside that. It has a branch of things that happens, but it's a little narrower than it being wide open. The order of trains and stations always going to be the same. The different actions that are available are always the same. But I still am finding it enjoyable. Each time I play, I'm still finding new and interesting things, and the weather and the possible cards that come up help with that. I think I could have used maybe 5 more of the special trains so that there's a little bit of differentiation. I think it says pick 7 out of 8 and put them out. Okay, so you're just, I don't know why it doesn't say pick 1 and put it back. Like another 7 different trains would help there to be more difference between game to game. But I can't complain. I don't know what I'm finding this compelling to clear up the rubble, to build the stations, to build the train. It's thematic, but there's also that really constant, like taking cubes, for example. If I put mine on number 1, I'm going to get 3 cubes. I can put it on number 4, and I'll get to go first, which is important. But I might not get the cubes I want. And if I put it on the cubes, you might go to one of the few spots that lets me convert cubes into steel bars. And then I'll go to the train, and you can't do that. And there's this constant, I sit there when I'm playing going, why did you place that worker there? Worker placement games have interaction to some degree. This one I feel has a little bit more than most. It looks pretty. I like the theme. It works really well. Plays in a reasonable amount of time. Check it out. Alubari, a nice cup of tea. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.